What's up, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Holy Paladin, doing some 3v3 with Plum on his Death Knight and Sorgal on his enhancement Shaman. Here's the gear that I'm rocking for this video, pretty much the same as the last video, still 636 PvP item level. These matches are from week 5 of the War Within Season 1, and here is the build that I am running. It's the same build that I've been running in most of these. I will say in this first match I should have changed out Searing Glare for Judgment of the Pure to try and take off Strangulate in some of it. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have to say about the gear and the build. Let's get into the matches. Alright, so this first match is against a Frost DK and a Devastation Evoker. So if you noticed the patch notes last week, then you know that DK, particularly Unholy, took a pretty sizable nerf, and a lot of the rank 1 DKs have dropped basically 100 rating or MMR since the changes. We were not immune to that. This was one of our worst queue sessions of the entire season. This was actually this was the only queue session that we've had where we went negative in rating. We started at 2050 MMR and we dropped down to like 1950 MMR, so we lost like 3 in a row, I want to say. And we ended up winning this match, which ironically is against another DK, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, I think they nerfed DK because of BG Blitz and their spread damage, but it is kind of shown to be, I don't know, pretty heavy-handed, as you can see from a lot of what the other DKs are saying. Also the buffs to Shadow Priest, and I think Feral was already just really powerful. And so a lot of what you're seeing on the ladder now is Feral Shadow Priest or Feral Mage. Shadowplay was really popular while we were queuing, and the buffs to Shadow has just made it really difficult to deal with. But anyways, in this match you can see they were kind of going for me and just kind of swapping around. Plum is using the team AMS to kind of stop their goes. We're winning currently on mana. They are both beginning to cast Nullifying Shroud. You can see on the big debuffs they both have Nullifying Shroud up, and the only way we can get that off is for Sorgal to purge it, or for me to get one stack off with like a Blood Elf Racial if I get lucky. And so whenever they have the strategy of going me like this, having Judgment of the Pure isn't as important because I have multiple things on me that it can take off. You can see Plum here, he does strangulate me, so I'm going to have to trinket there. He's getting kind of all of us in the AoE, so this is really their go, and Plum's going to disrupt it with the blind. We do get Emerald Communion there. This is the dragon's kind of big cooldown. Here comes the Strangulate, just fell off. I do get slept before I can, throw out Hand of Sacrifice, but it's not super important. You can see me swapping back Beacon to Sorgal. Again, they don't really have that, they're not really that scary outside of that go. So this is when we need to start pressuring them. Going to force them to use a little bit more mana. Again, we are winning on mana. I'm going to run over here and cast Tears Deliverance. Sorgal and Plum are pretty much both topped, and they're kind of going to just wait around until they can have another go. So here comes the blind. There's the second Oppressive Roar, and you can see Plum went ahead and used the AMS on me there to stop a lot of the CC. Here comes kind of their second wave of the go. I'm going to go ahead and bubble here. I probably could have traded Divine Protection, but either way, bubble's fine too. As long as I have Trinket back up for the next time they have Strangulate available, or Plum can get the team AMS on us. We're starting to kind of turn the tides here. They do root Plum's big A-bomb, which is one of his big cooldowns. You've heard me talk about how that's really important for that pet to connect. Right here, it looks like we're getting a little bit of pressure on the DK. We are handedly winning on mana at this point. I am getting gripped by the A-bomb limb over and over again, trying to get out of it. And I do have trinket available if I get stranged again. He's going to hit me with the sleepwalk. So I can either choose to trinket here or wait. So I do go ahead and trinket, and he strangulates Plum. I think he meant to strangulate me. So that was a really, really big deal there for them. And I probably should have decided to trinket immediately if I was going to trinket that sleepwalk. You can see I juke him on the Tears Deliverance, get Tears up, and now they won't have another go with strangulate before the Preservation Evoker is Here comes another Dragon's Breath. He's starting to cast Disintegrate here. I'm going to hodge this guy over here, and I'm probably going to try and double blind off of it. Yep, I go for the double blind. Looks like he has taken the increased damage. Strangulate does come out, and we're probably going to take down the DK very soon. You can see them using the double rescue. It's kind of funny seeing the double dragon because they actually have the oppressive roar up a little bit more often. You can see I'm not even trying to like poke my head out that much because I know that they're kind of wanting to go for me. So right here I'm going to use a blessing of protection on this go, and I have the AMS, so they actually can't really do anything. Sorgal gets out of the sleep. Here comes the strangulate, but again, we're okay. I am going to Aura Mastery here and try and pick everybody up, just tossing out some Eternal Flames. I'm not sure if I had my 4-set at this point when we had been queuing, because I had to buy the last piece. But at some point I did get my 4-set while we were queuing. It looks like the dragon, he's trying to cast Disintegrate, so he's trying to get back a little bit of mana here. He also used his Emerald Communion, so you can also, we just don't have as much pressure as we did before. Like the matches are going into much further dampening because I think DK still works as a whole. It just doesn't work with enhancement shaman, right? Like that was the only reason our comp kind of functioned, was we did the grips into the blinds, into the cage totem, into the cap totem, that kind of thing, and it just doesn't function because enhance is enhance just doesn't do anything better than any of the other classes, except for it can have some better disruption. Right there I immediately trinket the strangulate. I'm surprised honestly that they have been able to keep up this long with the damping kind of ramping up here and him being really low on mana, but we do go ahead and take him down there. So this was kind of the match that I won't say turned around, but we started to get our MMR back, and I think when we ended we got back to like 2k-ish MMR. But again, the only comps that we were really consistently beating were comps like this that are just really off meta comps, like this one in particular. I was shocked that these guys were higher MMR than the DK Devastation Evoker team, just because I don't know, maybe they just cheese healers in the opener, but this one just felt not nearly as strong as that other team. I'm going to go ahead and use my Aura Mastery here, so we're taking reduced damage on their go. We get Pain Suppression, we get Cloak, and I don't know if that's another Pain Suppression, so Plum goes to AMS me there on that one. It looks like they mark for death, so I'm going to go ahead and use Blessing Protection to just negate that mark for death. So that's kind of one of the big cooldowns from the Assassination Rogue. Looks like the Priest used Ultimate Penitence there, and I am going to get hodged. Priest wants to veer off that hodge 100%, so he did use his Greater Fade to do it. I'm going to kick him on that. There is the bomb on Sorgal, so I'm just kind of running in to try and get him. Casting my mana buff. I was trying to juke the rogue there in case he shadow stepped. He did shadow step to me, but he didn't use his kick. I did go ahead and use Blessing of Protection, so that should hold for a few seconds while I am in this Repentance. Looks like we did get the real second Pain Suppression there. And I'm going to get hodged, but they're both topped, so we're okay. You can kind of see we're kind of whittling everybody down. He is going to trinket this to try and get the fear, and he does get it, so I'm going to trinket there as well. Could have held, but I still have bubble available, and it looks like they are doing decent damage to Sorgal, so it probably wasn't the worst trinket. I do have a big absorb shield on me from the Light of the Martyr, so I'm going to go ahead and use my bubble just to take that off, because I don't want them swapping to me and the priest ending my bubble or something like that, and if I get too low and decide to bubble too late. The only other reason, you know, I would need it as like a trinket, because we can't really CC their priest all that well because they have that Blessing of Sanctuary, so that they can get the priest out of CC pretty easily. It looks like right here Plum's kind of just CCing them. It looks like my blind broke from damage, and they're kind of just panicking at this point. We still have all the mana, so unless the priest can get like a full fear on me here and they just get that full CC chain, but like I said, the blind already broke, we're kind of just AoEing them down at this point, and it looks like he uses pain suppression on himself and the Rep Pally does go down. And so this next match was a rematch against the DK Devastation team, but it's on a much smaller map, so honestly it's a little bit better for them. And I was a little paranoid they were going to go for me again, but I did leave the I left the beacon on Sorgal and Plum. I'm going to get blinded here in the opener. Here comes the Oppressive Roar into the stun, waiting to get strangulated. You can see this opening pressure. I'm going to just immediately trinket there. I popped wings, want to counteract. I did also use my Divine Protection, so I got everybody topped, and we're kind of getting some counter pressure here. Starting to, you see that buff over on the Devastation Evoker, that's one of his big cooldowns. So I just want to make sure I try and like match my cooldowns with his. And now the Frost DK is popping A-Bomb Limb, so I kind of just have to be able to heal through that. His damage cooldowns aren't really as scary without having the full setup with Strangulate, and that I don't remember what it's called, but it's that Dragon Breath ability, Breath of Sindragosa or something like that. That's kind of his go, even though A-Bomb Limb is technically another damage cooldown. I'm going to cast Hodge here. I do have Lay on Hands available, but I'm trying to hold it. I do want to cast Tears Deliverance. The dragon knows this, so he's trying to stop me. He's using his double glide, so I'm kind of just running the other way. Sorgal does Tremor me out of that one, so I'm going to try and pick everybody up. Cast Tears Deliverance over here, and we are getting a bunch of pressure on this DK. It looks like he's about to go down, so I ran in and tried to hit him. They used the double rescue and kept him alive, so it gave him those 2 shields. You can see my enchant from my weapon pulsing all over the place, which is good. It keeps proccing because it can take off that Light of the Martyr absorb for me. I do have Hodge available, and I'm just going to go ahead and use it. We do get Emerald Communion here into the stun. Here comes the DK's Pillar of Frost. Plum AMS's me this time. Sorgal pops his wall, and we do get Grounding Totem down as well. So we didn't quite have wings up, but we really didn't need it. I may pop it after this just to kind of stabilize because there's A-Bomb Limb, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it. Again, just trying to match cooldown with cooldown. Every time they have their go, I want to use a cooldown. And it's going to be a little awkward for this next one because it won't line up perfectly. It may end up being my bubble. We aren't winning as good on mana this time. I didn't actually see the Nullifying Shroud buff on him there. And also, I don't know, could have played that one a little bit better with the positioning and everything. We do get the grip blind and the cap stun. We are almost even on mana, so I can decide here whether I want to toss the blessing onto Plum or onto myself, and it's a really good thing I popped it onto Plum because we needed the extra healing. And it's going to do, usually at the end of the match, it does about like 3 million healing between the 2 times that I pop it. So it's not terrible, not like a negligible amount of healing, and it's usually one of Plum's like top healing spells when I put it on him. I am going to go ahead and Hodge this guy. It looks like it was right before the precog, and he did trinket that. So he has no trinket available now. So as soon as we get a little bit more pressure, only problem is we no longer have bubble. Looks like Plum's trying to AMS if he was going to blind, and he did successfully AMS the blind, although I do get stunned because, again, smaller map. I'm going to trinket the sleep since it was a full sleep. It won't have trinket for Strangulate at this point, and it would be good to have Judgment of the Pure also, because again, you can get lucky. Like, I'll have a bunch of debuffs on me from the Devastation Evoker, but I can get lucky and sometimes get the Strangulate. And I'm trying to throw Hammer again at him and Judgments and stuff. We almost take him down again, but we just didn't have quite enough. I need to Dispel Sorgal since he was slept. I do go ahead and Dispel Sorgal. We are barely winning on mana. We do have wings available. Sorgal does use grounding here. Enemy DK uses his AMS, and it looks like I'm going to go over here and cast Tears Deliverance. Again, don't want to get caught with that down. I am going to Dispel Sorgal. That Oppressive Roar does come out, so they missed me with the Oppressive Roar this time. I popped my Divine Protection there, and Plum AMSs me. So we kind of really messed up their go with that one. So super good. There's another Emerald Communion. They're kind of trying to go for Plum at this point. There's the Rescue again, but this time the Absorb Shield just wasn't enough, and we do take down the DK. So I think going forward, we are going to change comps and run Windwalker Enhance, or maybe try and find a Shadow Priest or a Feral to run with Plum on his DK. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, helps me out a ton, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.